All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FloGrappling Show, a.k.a. the worst show on the internet. As always, I'm Trey Robinson. We got Joey Gilps over here, Uncle Reed right there, and then Brutta Slack on the ones and twos on the side desk. And calling in, very special guest, we got Craig Jones. Everybody give it up for Craig.
Craig Jones is here. What up?
What's going on, Craig? What are you up to? You just living life on the road as always?
Yeah, I mean, we had the road trip. We had the West Coast road trip plans, but after we broke down 5 or 6 times, I was like, you know what, we'll just get this thing straight to Vegas. And now we're locked down in an Airbnb in Vegas. We got the swimming pool here. I'm doing laps, trying to find safe training partners. That's about it, eh? Doing all the bullshit promotional stuff. Obviously, we met up with Laranja in Cali, and that was the only West Coast stop. And then we came straight here.
Do you have the pink car in Vegas with you, or did you just blow that up somewhere along the way?
You know, it's like a unhealthy relationship, you know? I guess like most of my relationships, it's love-hate, you know? Like it's hard to let go of despite all the pain it's caused me. You can drive a tank over a car here. And I was like, that'd be a poetic end to that car, but I love it too much, you know? Well, yeah. I am driving it around Vegas, but Vegas... So we shipped it from Miami after WNO.
Oh, dang.
And was meant to go to Seattle. And I was going to do Demetrius Johnson's podcast. And then I was going to drive down the West Coast. But I was for sure like, it's not going to make it. So we changed the address, shipped it to Bel Air. We shipped it like, obviously they take it on the truck. And then when they delivered it in Bel Air, the guy was like, look, something's leaking from it. And it leaked all over the new car below it, which I thought was pretty funny actually, but it was the power steering pump had blown. So once it couldn't even make a transit, it couldn't even be rolled there. I was like, all right, we'll get this last thing fixed. We'll drive it to Vegas. But the AC works, but if you turn the AC on, it explodes. Something eventually explodes. So we did the LA to Vegas drive. I think it was like 115 Fahrenheit. And we did that drive. I kept stopping every 90 minutes. Ultimately, when we got here to Vegas, the like air filter thing had melted. It was that hot driving through the desert.
Jeez.
That just like, but yeah, it is. I mean, it's driving around Vegas, but about 30 minutes is its limit. And then I think like either I'm going to have a heart attack with the AC or it's going to explode. But you have the coolness factor of it, but little do people realize how much suffering goes on when you're actually driving that thing.
Dude, that is not the car I would want to take in that drive from California to Vegas. Just for one, like you said, incredibly hot. But also, if you break down, you're just kind of stuck in the middle of pretty much no man's land for miles and miles. Do you make Anthony just like hold a little fan on you or anything? I feel like that would be a good use of the Harvard grad.
That's true. I mean, the Harvard grad reached his breaking point along the East Coast sort of journey. You know, like it was me, Anthony and Aaron, the videographer. And I know like when we were in West Virginia and stuff, I was a bit nervous. I was like, are we going to have to exchange Aaron for parts here? Like if we get stuck? Anthony was breaking in the back of that car. We did one 16-hour day and he was in the back just sweating on his laptop. I don't know what he was doing back there, but he didn't make it to this part. He's back in Austin working in the comfort of air conditioning, but we did the drive to Vegas. But yeah, it was, man, I was worried. I was like, there was a couple of points there where it was the car temperature gauge for the engine doesn't work, but on the mirror is like this antique, I guess, just outside temperature gauge. And I remember just seeing it at 115 thinking like, yeah, if we break down here, I don't think I last 45 minutes out in that desert sun.
Yeah, that's brutal. How has living the promoter life been for you? You know, this is kind of like a different one where now we can talk to Craig, the athlete, Craig, the promoter, you know, it seems like maybe it's not that fun, to be honest. Like I've been seeing your posts and everything.
Yeah. The tables have turned, I'd imagine. It was much easier for the last show to just villainize you guys, villainize ADCC. And now the tables have turned. I remember Mo was laughing. Like he was like, yeah, you'll see. And yeah, definitely now I do see. It is difficult with the athletes. And it's difficult because like me as the sort of like the figurehead of the organization, there's a lot of like phone calls they want to make to me. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not needed in this, but like, obviously they want you to be the one talking to them about it and stuff. So it's like trying to navigate how best I can use my time while also not going insane and finding time to train myself, because some people think the Gable Steveson match will be easy. I don't think any 285-pound man that can do backflips is going to be easy at anything. So it's like the Gabby match was like, I knew what was going to happen. The Gable one's like, man, I better not get my spine broken, sacrificing myself for this promoting of the sport, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like we're almost, Aaron, getting closer to maybe the next evolution is like corporate Craig, you know? Maybe you come back into flow, be a corporate guy, because taking meetings that like you have no business or even need to be in at all, that's like pretty solid corporate stuff. Like you're kind of ahead of the curve already.
Yeah, I mean, like it is difficult. Like honestly, I'm trying to promote every athlete, and it's like I hope they appreciate the efforts and the lack of self-respect I have in doing that. But I thought like a unique way to like promote everyone was like, and this was like 60 days out. I was like, what do we got? 40 athletes? I'm just going to do a video every day, try and hit like 100, 150K views on those to just like pump them up, make them feel appreciated. But now I've got a lot of athletes left and not many days. So it's like to find unique ways of like either being naked or something captivating to like get those numbers in is difficult enough, let alone the fact that the event's so close. And as you guys know, the problems that come up close to the event, like unforeseen budget booms, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our problems can much less often be solved with let's get naked.
Yeah, we try that. People get pissed at us.
That keeps me out of the corporate life, I imagine. I'm in this area where I can market an event, but no corporation would really want to associate with my form of marketing. Like with the latest Laranja video, we really pushed the envelope of what's acceptable in promoting a match.
Yeah. Is that one of the, I know there's a lot of, you know, complication that comes with being a promoter, putting on an event. Like a lot of people just watching at home, like fans of the sport and stuff, probably have no idea really, especially when an event gets close. It does just feel like everyone goes crazy for some reason, from athletes to like behind the scenes employees of companies putting on events. They literally just go nuts and everyone starts freaking out about every little thing. But is one of the fun things for you still getting to kind of make some of this kind of crazy content, like the Hinata Laranja piece you guys dropped and everything? Is that like a silver lining, I guess?
That is a really cool aspect, I think, because like I think the two coolest things for CJI was like, I think Gabby Garcia 10 years or maybe even longer as the villain of the sport. You know what I mean? Like she'd win, but not really be celebrated. So like in terms of like how we marketed her, how we got her to lean into the jokes, but also she's actually a pretty good actress. So a lot of people believe that she was maybe upset about things. And then ultimately she lost to me, but then the crowd celebrated her. And I think it was the first time she'd ever really been celebrated in the sport. So yeah, like that aspect of the promoting is awesome. And then again, like bringing Laranja back, like he'd been gone for so long, but like I loved his sense of humor and I thought he would be the perfect piece of the puzzle for the me and Gabby match. So to see him be celebrated and then to have the opportunity to bring him back again for this one, but we had to be a bit more creative. You know what I mean? Like Gabby's just so easy to, I wouldn't say work with.
Yeah.
But if you get her to appear to something, like the comedy sort of flows out. So like for this match, to promote the Gable match, we had to be a bit more creative. But yeah, it is cool to be able to work with Laranja because I guess his peak was when I was like much, much younger.
Is he going to be on the mic this time around for CGI 2 as well?
He's scary in a live environment because you don't know what he's going to say. You know what I mean? But we will have him there. We'll have him there in some capacity. Like I think like interviewing athletes. Like I'd love him to ultimately interview Gable. And I hope Gable doesn't understand the shtick. You know, he's kind of like, what is this? Like I wanted to set it up like, hey, this is actually the greatest jiu-jitsu coach and athlete ever. And we just need you to do this interview with him. Like I think under something like that, that would be a hilarious format. But yeah, when Laranja's live, it is a dangerous thing, as you can imagine.
Yeah. I want to ask you some stuff about Gable, but first, since you brought up Gabby and kind of how she is a better actor than maybe people realize and stuff, I want to ask you about the kiss right before CJI won, because that was the big moment where everyone was like, oh shit, was that like actually too far? Was Gabby actually pissed? You know, you guys were teasing that the match might be off and then it's back on and all that. How much of that was a work and how much of that was real?
Oh, well, let's do the panel review here. What do you guys think?
I think in the moment, I was like, that seemed real. Like, I don't know. That felt like maybe Gabby was actually pissed. But now I have no idea. The main thing CGI 1 taught me is that just don't believe anything ever is real, no matter what's going on, you know? Even stuff I say, I don't even think I'm being real, so I have no idea.
I think that's the magic of it too, is because sometimes I don't even know. Like sometimes I say some shit and then like people will read into it, go on a deep level. Like they go Kubrick level. They're like, oh, he's leaving clues around the place and stuff. And it's like not even really. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But like for the Gabby kiss, so the Gabby kiss was pre-planned, but the vigorous nature of the way I kissed her was not. So I gave her a little headbutt and I grabbed her. She thought I was just going to give her a little peck, but I just passionately got in there. Like, obviously you don't get an opportunity to kiss such a beautiful woman. You're just going to grab that by the ears and take advantage of it. So I think that like surprised her and helped the acting aspect of it. Hopefully when I lay my lips on Gable, he reacts in a fun way, because if he were to be angry, I would be scared.
Definitely. All right, so we had Gable on a couple weeks ago, and you know, this is another one of those things where I was like, man, all right, I don't know if this is like Craig talked to him ahead of time and was like, this is what, you know, say some stuff like this, or if he just took it on himself or whatever, but he definitely you know, he definitely talked a lot about how it's going to suck for you, and he thinks that this will suck for you to send you into retirement, kind of losing to a non-jiu-jitsu guy and all that. So I'm curious, did you see any of those clips? Did you see some of the stuff Gable had to say, and what did you think about it if you did?
Yeah, I mean, I saw he was fired up. I definitely think like I don't like he's transitioning into MMA, so I don't really think he wants to end his enter this world. I guess he's in the wrestling world, but enter this sphere with a loss, you know, especially to someone as ridiculous and doesn't train as myself. So I think he is fired up to put in a solid performance. It'll just be interesting to see how he approaches it. Like if he approaches it with extreme confidence, obviously there'll be more opportunities for me. But like I'd love it if I could go out there. Like my dream scenario would be go out there, we heel hook him, he gets injured from the heel hook but doesn't tap. And then we go out for round 2 and he can't wrestle. And I can actually take him down even if he has one leg. And then I can just ride off into the sunset. Like I'd rather take him down due to an injury than submit him. You know what I mean? I think that would really grind the wrestling community's gears if I could do that and just be like, obviously it's a superior grappling art in all realms. However, I do think even if we cut off one of his legs, I don't know if I could take him down.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess I want to ask you some more stuff about the Gable match, because I think you're probably top 5 best grapplers in the world. Even with all this stuff going on, I think you're underrated for how good of a grappler you are. And I do think that it's kind of like, man, it just feels to me like a wrestler versus a grappler in a jiu-jitsu match. The grappler wins kind of like historically. And I do think you could probably leg lock him at some point for sure. So I want to know your actual thoughts on, like, I know Gable's like a generational talent, a generational athlete, Olympic gold medalist. That is a different beast. But do you legitimately think Gable's going to have been able to, I guess, even be exposed enough to jiu-jitsu to shut down some of your attacks if you really wanted to get in there and just like enter the legs and try and submit him as fast as you could?
I mean, I think that's the mystery of it, right? Like, I'll be honest, I have not trained properly for a long time. You know what I mean? Like when we drop these videos on YouTube of me training and stuff, obviously I'm putting up the best footage of me possible. And I still do have a strong 5 minutes in me. I think gone are the days where I could show back up to B team and still beat up the boys unless we have that mental barrier in them. But like in terms of how the Gable match looks, I think if we're going past 3 minutes, we're in trouble. You know, like my gas tank, it was never good at the peak. I still had that philosophy then. Like basically, if people were watching me and I missed a couple leg lock entries, we were in trouble. But for Gable, it'd be interesting. I mean, like low center of gravity, like super athletic. It'd be hard to get underneath him. I think if I do make a leg connection, I think it's over. But it's the question of like, can I get to his leg before I get tired? Like I'd like to say that I've been training a lot in preparation, but really like I've just been broken down on the side of the road, close to an emotional meltdown. You know what I mean? So we're going into this with a guy that's preparing for an MMA career, just finished his college run. What I didn't even understand is NCAA, like he just finished that, obviously had a loss. We should have negotiated the deal after that loss. I think we would have got a better price on Gable coming off a loss, but I thought we'd do it before. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I think anyone that is that athletic, like I remember when Nicky Rod came in, he was like day one, like I could catch him, but it was definitely not easy. So I think if Gable approaches this the correct way, which would unfortunately, I think, probably be a bit of a boring way, it would be a difficult match for me. But I do not think Gable's going to do that. I think he's got that wrestling bravado where he's just going to throw himself into the fire. And I hope as he throws himself to that fire, it doesn't involve with me breaking my neck or him landing on a limb of mine and just snapping. I think he could submit me by landing on me. I think like the atomic butt drop a la Mark Hunt in Pride, I think that would be his most dangerous weapon here.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an aspect of wrestlers versus jiu-jitsu guys. Wrestlers do just have a different tenacity about them when they compete and everything. Like, I could see Gable just, like, going nuts trying to outside pass you and finally get an angle and then just, like, slam down on your ribs. And you might end up like that pink car under the tank, you know, just getting destroyed by
melted.
Breaking down, yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, I chose 3 rounds for a reason. You know, like I was like 5 by 5, man. If he makes it to the end of the 3rd round, like we'll need a defibrillator between rounds to get me back out there, you know. Like,
I mean, that would be great for viewership.
that'll be a lot of Lucy's in between rounds, you know. Like that's the plan, is like the refuel in between rounds. I do all my cardio, and I think this is the promoter aspect. Like I didn't understand nicotine until I started having to promote these events, and now I'm absolutely addicted. I swim laps with the nicotine in. I do my rounds with the nicotine in. I think it just takes the edge off. So I think that's an advantage I have. He doesn't seem like a big drinker or a big partier. That obviously plays into his strengths. I think he's coming in too healthy. Like I see him posting training footage hitting pads, and I'm like, bro, this is like not really what I wanted to do here. I wanted it's coming unprepared and drunk. You know, that's what Philly Fresh, when we did the karate combat in Mexico, that was kind of the plan. Let's have fun and get drunk before the match. I got drunk. And then I realized he was drinking water, and I was like, "Wait, it's not what I signed up for."
There you go. That's the way to beat Craig Jones in these super fights is agree to get drunk, but
water.
then just drink electrolytes.
And Craig, you were talking a lot of shit early on about, you know, wrestling and everything like that. Is the plan for you to really stick it to the wrestling community? Do you have kind of a grudge here with wrestling, and you're making sure that jiu-jitsu kind of shows superior over wrestling?
Yeah, so like I think jiu-jitsu, the Gracie family, won just about everything there is to win in against the other combat arts, right? And I think, obviously, I hope this doesn't look like Helio Gracie versus Kimura. Hopefully, it doesn't end up like that where I get my arm broken or something, or like hopefully Gable doesn't have some Sakuraba energy. But like, I really do want to show wrestlers that like, you guys spend so much time on takedowns, you have no idea what to do on the ground. You know, like I think it's like foreplay without the payoff. Like, what are you guys doing here? You know, like you take it. Jiu-jitsu is like I guess it's like a combat art without striking. Wrestling's like a grappling art without submissions. It's like I don't get it. And I see like obviously Hamzat just won on the weekend, but really like that was a wet rag. You know what I mean? Like Dricus spent more time on the cross than Christ in that match. You know, I think like they don't know what to do when it hits the ground.
Yeah, we were talking about that fight before this and everything, and Joe kind of had a good point where like Dricus was in the corner just talking about being frustrated and bored, right? You know, it's like it's funny that a wrestler can dominate in a way where it's like nothing's actually happening though. You know, you're just kind of chilling once you get there.
Yeah, I always think about it's kind of like lesbian sex. All they have is the foreplay aspect, you know, like where's the penetration?
I can show you some stuff.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. You got any questions or anything, Joe?
Sure. I feel like I should ask.
As our lesbian sex expert, Joe will ask a question now.
I had some questions actually about CJI and about how things are going to work, right? I know obviously you mentioned Sakuraba a minute ago and the way that, this quintet style thing. Can you just tell me, like, how did you get this set up with quintet? What was their reaction early on? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, interesting question. Like, I've always loved quintet as a format. I always thought it was the most exciting part of grappling because the most boring part is the survival. And like, you could call it stalling, but obviously it takes a bit of time to get things going on the ground sometimes. Like, again, like I hate to say, but obviously Gordon, in my opinion, probably the best grappler the sport's ever had. And oftentimes, as you guys would have dealt with him in his contract negotiations, he does like a longer match and he does like to break down his opponents over time. But I think that aspect can be a little boring for the general spectators. So like what I loved about Quintet was that it forced fast action. And if there was nothing, it kind of was that double elimination aspect. It's like, all right, no submission in an 8-minute period, or if there was a huge size discrepancy, they'd do a 4-minute period. But what I love about Quintet is that I remember when I was watching it, when you see a smaller guy just surviving against a bigger guy, if you put that in a regular single match style event, you're kind of bored. But when you know that smaller guy in survival mode positively affects the impact of his team, I thought it was really a creative way to not try to use rules to enforce a style of grappling that would make it exciting, but it would just make the inevitable aspect of the sport, the slow points, exciting. You know, it's like he's a small guy's trying to hold on, or like, say, for example, when it was B Team Bulls versus 10th Planet at the last Quintet, I believe it was in Tokyo. I remember I submitted both the Martinez brothers, and I just had to survive against Kyle Bain. So I didn't have to put my foot on the gas too much, but I put the responsibility on him to really pursue me. So I just found that idea alone, it took us part of the sport that was ordinarily boring, and it just frames it in a way that makes it more exciting. I just thought I could improve upon Quintet in some aspects, like obviously allowing heel hooks. I think allowing heel hooks like Lachlan Giles run at ADCC is really important for the smaller man to be able to beat the bigger opponent. I really liked the idea of changing that, allowing heel hooks, but also like Quintet, you'd have to have your lineup arranged prior, and you'd kind of have an idea of who you're facing, and the crowd would kind of, if they were paying attention, they would know sort of loosely how things are going to go. So I really wanted to add in a Royal Rumble reveal aspect. And I really think like something I did with CGI 1 with the rounds, and something I'm doing here with the Royal Rumble reveals, it gives the coach so much more value. And I really think I've stolen this from MMA, is like when your guy comes back to the corner and the coach has to navigate it. Like you said about Dricus going back and being frustrated, like he's seeking answers from the coach in the corner that he might not be able to get from the sidelines coaching as it takes place. So I really wanted to highlight how important coaches were in the competition formats. So them having to make a call, it's kind of like a Pokemon battle. They're like, all right, say like John Danaher's there. Let's just imagine Nicky Rod's just submitted like Giancarlo. Now John has 30 seconds to decide who he's sending in to face Nicky Rod. So I really like the aspect of putting the coach in a very important position in this. And again, like CGI 1 did that because we had those 1 minute round breakers, you know what I mean? Like the just given the nature of the rounds, 3 5-minute rounds, the coach, you'd be able to hear and listen to what the coach had to say and his advice. Because again, if you're coaching during the match, your opponent can hear. I love that aspect of MMA where you can change your athlete's strategy sort of on the fly. So I really like the Quintet format and how it operates like that.
I also just think Quintet is like one of the most viewer-friendly events to watch because there's kind of like a baked-in storyline, obviously, you know? Like, this guy goes out, oh, shit, upsets this big dude, but then now someone new is going to try and avenge that immediately. So it's, like, easy as a fan to, like, you don't need to know everything about every single grappler. You don't need to know everything about every team. You're kind of just automatically kind of like, okay, I get it. This guy wants to now submit this guy to get one back for his squad. But the Royal Rumble aspect is, I mean, that's going to be great. That's going to be absolutely electric.
Yeah.
Do you have like any production type of stuff planned for that? Like, I don't know how all in you guys are going on the Royal Rumble stuff, but like obviously the Royal Rumble, they all have video packages and music hits and it's all nuts. Like, do you guys have big plans for that side of things?
So I think it'll, unfortunately, due to the expense of the music rights and stuff and being free on YouTube, we'll just have, each team will kind of have a generic song, but like, say a submission occurs, the coach will have 30 seconds to decide, and he'll probably like have a prop phone or something, maybe try and hide who he's saying he's sending in to keep that suspense alive. And then it'll be 90 seconds between each match, but the coach has 30 seconds to decide. So it'll be probably like, we'll probably have the coach visually being picking the next athlete. Then we'll show the replay of the last finish. And then it'll basically come down to a 10-second timer. So I just love that suspense where like the opposite coach, the opposite athlete, every fan, the commentators, they have no idea who's about to take that walk. And then when that person appears after the 10-second timer, we'll have the ring announcer be like, boom, he's sending in Miki Galbao. So I think that's just going to be so intense. Yeah. I don't know, like it's just like captivating to me. It improves the team aspect, I think, that Quintet built.
Definitely. It's like the Royal Rumble. One of the best parts is just watching the clock, like the countdown. Yeah. And then just all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, we got John Cena, you know? You got another question, Joe? I see you over there.
Yeah, I got a couple more questions. Craig, let's say we have a match, two teams face off, there's no submissions, or there's one submission each way. There's a tie at the end. What are we going to do?
So we're still going to utilize the 10-point must system we stole from MMA. In CGI 1, we had open scoring, right? So like I wanted open scoring in CGI 1 so that, because jiu-jitsu athletes are used to knowing where they're at, obviously points on the board. So after each round, and like you guys do it with like judges favor such and such. So with that open scoring, it would sort of, you'd know where you're at, you know what you had to do. So in terms of Quintet meets CGI for this event, each match will be scored according to the 10-point must system, but it will not be open scoring. So in the event, there's a sort of equal amount of submissions, or worst case scenario, which I hope doesn't happen given the size discrepancies, is that there's 5 double eliminations. Then we'll go to like a UFC championship style. Judge 1 scores at 48-46. And the little thing we've thrown in there, because Quintet did favor the smaller guy by allowing them to elect to do a 4-minute match if it was a bigger opponent. We're not doing that. I'm like, fuck you, little guys. You can do the full 8. But we'll kind of cap it. So if there's a greater than 1 weight class discrepancy, so if it's a 66 versus 88, the bigger guy can only win by a 10-9 unless there's obviously negatives involved. And I think that is just a great equalizer, and it's going to apply more pressure to the bigger guy to get the submission. But I think most guys, like you're carrying your team on your back here. You want that submission. You're going to do everything you can to put your team at an advantage here. But yeah, if people try to game the system and just try to strategically double eliminate people too much, like if you're a bigger guy, you'll be capped at a sort of a 10-9 in terms of the scoring.
Interesting. That's going to play a lot with the strategy as well for the coaches, right? If they want those 10-8s, they're going to have to be like super careful about who they're sending out against too, I guess. That's really interesting. One more question for the women's bracket. This is the biggest women's bracket of all time. Actually, 2 questions about this. First question, kind of an easier one. Is this going to be the 3 5-minute rounds? Is the finals going to be 5 5-minute rounds? What's the like structure of the tournament going to be?
Yeah, sort of the semis will be the 3 5s and the final will be 5 5s. Okay. So obviously we got Ana Vieira, Helena, Adele, and
Sarah Galvao.
Sarah Galvao, yeah. She's kind of like the wild card, right? So like I wanted to, like we could have put in an Elizabeth Clay, but I really like the idea. Even though Sarah has a victory over Helena in the gi, like I think Sarah, just given her family heritage, the gym she's trained at, she is quite a wild card and she could cause an upset here. So I didn't just want 4 established big name women in the event. I wanted that wild card factor, which sort of the teams have too. It's like we're throwing in some young blood, if you will, and we'll see how she goes in there, because I love an upset. Obviously, I built my career off an upset. A lot of Australians strangely do. We're always the underdogs. So I love an underdog story going into that women's bracket. And we couldn't get Fionn. We didn't get Fionn. So I think throwing in a Sarah Galvao really adds like an interesting dynamic to the event.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, how did you come to these 4 athletes? And can you talk about like the significance of you guys putting on like the biggest cash prize women's bracket of all time?
Yeah, that's an expensive decision. Expensive decision. But we had to include the women. Like the dream scenario would have been like we got the funding to obviously give the women a chance at $1 million. That's just like not a reality we live in, but we definitely had to include the women in this event. CGI 1, I sort of wanted to showcase what I thought would be the best rules and lead to the most exciting format. Unfortunately, we could only have Fionn versus Mackenzie in that one. The hope was, we kind of thought we'd do the same style event for the second one, but I really wanted to then, like you guys said about, it's like the most fan viewer friendly. I really wanted to showcase this teams aspect and the quintet aspect and how we could build upon that. But because of the team nature of it, we couldn't really have a massive women's bracket because we just have this marathon long event. Like day one of CGI1 was like, God, that was brutal. And I don't want that for me selfishly. And I also don't want that for the fans to have to tune in, do a stream for 12 hours. You know, it's like, I don't like anything that much, but we thought the best would be like a 4 women's bracket, hit that 100K mark. All the girls will still get paid 10,000 to show up. I know we did $10,001 for CGI1 just out of pettiness. I think everyone's getting $10,002 for this one to just
out of pettiness towards CGI1.
yeah. We had to up, but we couldn't keep the baseline. You know, now I've gone.
Inflation's getting everything. I get you.
Yeah, now I feel like a promoter. It's back to fuck the athletes, you know.
Of course.
And Craig, so a couple shakeups here recently. You just had kind of Wagner Hosha jump on to the train, and he's a guy you've had a little relationship with over the years. Were you involved in that decision, and how does it feel having Wagner now in the mix? Yeah, so that decision, that fully came down to John. John sort of had a selection of athletes he could choose from. Obviously, helped get that. Obviously, you guys helped too. Obviously, you guys own Mickey Galvao. Thank you for letting us use him. But Big Dan is out, so he had to find an alternate wild card. Like my dream scenario would have been to have Roberto Jimenez in there, but we couldn't get that to happen. Also, that would be a damn powerful team if they had a Mika and Roberto Jimenez wild card sort of thing in there. But there was a bit of pushback when we allowed Atos to kind of have 2 wild cards, you know, like with the Felipe Pena, Diego Pato, but then ultimately now New Wave have 2 wild cards as well. But in terms of the Wagner decision making, I try to guide the coaches a little bit. Like I didn't want Isaac in there, just given the history. It's not even a personal thing. It's just like we had some legal threats in there. So I was like, I didn't really want to engage in getting that man to sign a contract to enter this event. So in terms of alternates, he could have used like an Owen O'Flanagan, a Roberto Jimenez. We tried for Roberto for New Wave before we even tried to get Mickey Galvao in there, because I think Roberto's got that factor where he could submit anyone in the world. Unfortunately, he could be caught by people that aren't as good as him just because of the reckless nature of his game. But that's also the most exciting aspect. But yeah, we ultimately fell upon Wagner. I think Mika has a strong relationship with Wagner, and in this team format, that camaraderie, I think like a team with a strong camaraderie has a pretty powerful factor going in. So I think like Daisy Fresh might be slept on, but that's such a strong team. They didn't elect to use any wild cards, and I really respect that. 10th Planet has no wild cards either, but also 10th Planet is probably the biggest no-gi affiliation in the world. So they've got a pretty big pool to pick from, even just using 10th Planet people. But yeah, the wild card aspect has caused a bit of controversy and stuff like that, but I think it was the only way we could make sure we got as many exciting athletes as possible. Yeah, and you mentioned Mika Galvao. Actually, we just dropped a Mika Galvao 72-minute documentary on our YouTube and on our site. So if you want to go check that out, definitely check that out. But obviously, Mika being in this CJI field just has me so excited. There's so many crazy matches that we've never seen Mika have that he could now potentially have against, you know, Felipe Pena, Nicky Rod, you know, Kynan again. You know, there's just so many crazy matches for Mika. So I'm just wondering, you know, what's it been like working with Mika, and you know, what are you excited to see him do at CJI?
I mean, I would say that it would be almost impossible for someone to run a team, to run a whole team out. But I'd say Mika would be, if anyone could do it, it could be Mickey Galvao. So, but also like just being the weapon he is, like for sheer entertainment value, obviously early in the brackets, which we haven't decided yet, Mika is probably more likely to be able to run one of those weaker teams. But also then it puts like for me as the promoter, I'm like, put Mika in early, get him to run out a whole team. I'd love to see that. But really strategically as a coach, you'd probably want to save him for crunch time. You know, you wouldn't want Mika to have 5 matches on day one and then be fatigued at all for day 2. So it'd be interesting to see how coaches will save their better athletes for when they're most needed. But yeah, I mean, personally, like Mika against anyone's going to be exciting. But like in terms of a similar weight division, I'd love to see Mika versus Joseph Chen. I think that'd be really cool. I think what we're going to do bracket wise is there was kind of the favorites would be, I think, New Wave, B Team, and Atos. I think they're head and shoulders sort of clear favorites for this event. And then the question is, how do we arrange this? You know what I mean? In terms of a bracket thing, it's like, do we put B Team and New Wave on the same side? And I'm like, well, I'd probably prefer that to be a finals match. And then begs the question of where does Atos sit? And now I think I can justify New Wave and Atos being on the same side because both those teams have 2 wild cards. So I'm picturing in my head a dream scenario would be that whoever wins out of New Wave Atos in the semis, it'll ultimately, I hope for storylines, be a New Wave B Team final. But I think New Wave versus Atos is going to be very, very close. We haven't set on that yet. I'll probably get crucified by the coaches behind the scenes talking about the brackets like that. But I do think electing to use 2 wild cards, both of those teams have it, would be kind of fair to put them on the same side. But I would hate also if Atos beat New Wave and that rivalry never had a real end point, you know, like it'd be crazy to have New Wave versus B Team because it's again the last run for both those brand names.
Mm-hmm.
As promoter, Craig, has it been interesting for you kind of having to work so closely again with a lot of the New Wave guys, setting all this up? Like I know you've probably had to talk with John a lot, all those guys, and has that been an interesting aspect of this for you?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, like as promoters and like in the event organization aspect yourself, like and even working with me, we can be absolute selfish pricks as athletes, you know? So like it's a hard balance, you know, like because you have to mend fences here, right? Like me and John, we got along very well before the team split up. So it was like after a discussion and like him, like again, like you say, what's real, what's not real with me. And it's like I had to kind of prove to myself that like, hey, we weren't just setting New Wave up for failure in this event, you know, or I wasn't just setting them up to be mocked, you know. And I think ultimately when things really became clear that I was like unbiased was by allowing them to have Mika Gavau, you know, like giving any team Mika is going to be such a powerful trade. So I think when I gave Mika to the Danaher crew, I think that proved that it was like, this is about as unbiased an event as possible. Selfishly, I'd love B Team to win, but I wouldn't want to jeopardize sort of the integrity of the event or have some sort of B Team favoritism where people think like, oh, he's just ran this event so his team can win $1 million, you know?
Definitely. And so another thing I want to ask you about, this is a little bit more on the B Team side of things, less about the event and all that, but you did announce kind of recently that you're going to be stepping more away from B Team, kind of letting those guys take it over, run everything. But I'm just curious on like that shakeup and how some of this plays out, especially when it comes to like the social media game and kind of the empire you've built with the B Team YouTube channel and all of that, with you kind of branching off, kind of doing your own thing. I feel like maybe you don't want to make content anymore. Maybe you want to keep making content and all that. But like, how is all that going to work? You know, is like the B Team YouTube channel going to stay like the in the gym guys? Are you going to do your own thing, or just what's all that going to look like after all of this?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, and it's hard because we kind of like I just have not been around. I've been the absent father, you know, but I've had to like monitor the gym situation from afar, which kind of, I mean, I never wanted to open a gym. It kind of just ended in a situation. Like I used to talk to John and stuff about after the last 80cc's I did, where I'd be like, I kind of want to just disappear. Like I was a bit of a nomad before. I wanted to like step away from the team. Like I remember before B Team started, I'd always told John like that 80cc, I was like, this is probably my last one. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like there's more enjoyable things to do in life than just train every day and just be too exhausted to even think afterwards and just like focus on it. Like I never wanted to be the dude that was like, and no disrespect to those guys that are like 42, like all respect to guys like Wagner and stuff that are still doing these main events at that age. But it's like, I'm just like, God, that sounds like torture. So in terms of the B Team, I never really wanted to open that to begin with. It just ended up in a scenario where I felt like there was bad blood in the team. I felt like I had to sort of figurehead opening that gym, but my intention was never to build this B Team empire, whatever. It was kind of to help those boys kickstart an out for them. So really now it's really just me just having not been around for so long, just passing the torch onto them. But I think it was like integral that the B Team brand ends, because I think like my insane marketing and stuff like that sort of puts me at the forefront of a crew of guys that are more than capable of running the gym and doing the marketing aspect themselves. I think, yeah, just because I'm so focused on marketing and promoting that it overshadows some of those individual identities and their sort of accomplishments in the sport. So really, it just was a perfect time. It was like, well, New Wave's ending, New Wave's becoming Kingsway. And it was kind of like, well, I'm never around. It's probably time for these boys to make this transition. But yeah, running a gym sucks. You know, like it's like, I guess it's kind of all the worst parts about it being the promoter as well. It's like you're just managing relationships, like you're having to enforce things. It's like people treat the gym like it's their personal home and stuff like that. And then obviously there's a lot of dramas that just naturally unfold at any gym. And I really don't want to be the one from afar to have to manage those things. I feel like it should be the boots on the ground there that are like navigating those situations.
Do you know, is there going to be like a rebrand or anything? Or are they going to keep the B Team name and all that? Or how's that going to work?
No. So it's one of those things. I think like the B Team is obviously synonymous with the group, but I think like it's so strongly associated with me and the legacy of me being a part of that team that it's really like crucial that they come up with a new gym name to separate themselves from, I guess, my brand name. So I'd imagine like they're having trouble coming up with a team name as it is. I mean, like when I suggested B Team, that didn't go down too well at the start, but obviously I think it just was like, we used to joke about John has the seniors and the juniors. It's like, it was a joke on the elite and the other crew, which was us. So like, I think Nicky Rod and Ethan and podcast couldn't. Are we back? Did it cut out for a second?
It cut out for a second, yeah.
My shitty Vegas internet. No, so I think just because of the association and the history of me with B Team, like, and kind of like I was in the top position in a sense of like decision making and all those other aspects, and even the coaching at the start, that it's like it's best we end that sort of legacy as it is now and let them build something from the ground up that's fully 100% associated with those core crew of guys, you know, because like it would suck because the B Team YouTube channel is so successful that like if you'd built your own thing and I was gone, but people were still talking about, oh, Craig, fuck Craig this, you know, like I think it's very important for their own careers and identities that they have something of their own there.
And so on September 1st, are we going to see Craig Jones again? Are you going to still make content? Are you going to be out there? Are we going to never see you again? What's the plan?
I need like a break. I think I'm going to disappear, turn my phone off, and just see what happens. I think like it's sort of a addictive cycle of like creating this content and stuff. But you also you kind of need an excuse to do it. I mean, we're working with Guardian and we've got the Fair Fight Foundation. We just opened a school in Peru. So we took some of the finances and obviously some personal finances to build a school down in Peru. And that's just been completed. So like, I would say my personal passion right now would be to be growing the sport at like a grassroots level. And that's like giving access. It's part of the reason I travel so much is like, I grew up in Adelaide, which is a lovely Australian city, but very few like bands would skip over that place. Obviously jiu-jitsu black belts and stuff traveling, like we didn't have access. So like I take pride in going to places people ordinarily wouldn't go and just exposing any level of gym to a perceived higher level of jiu-jitsu athlete or accomplishments or whatever, or coaching. So like I really take pride in that. So CGI, we're trying to build something massive that'll gain and captivate the attention of everyone. And it sets this goal of like the thought of, oh, we could maybe win $1 million in a single event as a jiu-jitsu athlete. But then on the grassroots level, I like building these gyms and helping these poorer communities. And I would love the idea that this story comes to fruition one day where we built this gym in Peru. This kid comes out of there that's a killer, ultimately competes for a CGI event if we're able to keep this shit show running. And that would be like a fairy tale narrative to me. So in terms of stepping away, I will step away, but I'll have to return because I do want to keep building these schools. You know what I mean? Like it's a vicious cycle. I'm stuck, but I definitely do need a break promoting every single athlete, promoting the event. I haven't been in one location permanently for more than 2 weeks, and probably going on 2.5 years minimum now. So it's like, I just want to trap myself on an island somewhere, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a crazy life on the road for
Can't
sure.
imagine, bro.
But I want to ask you too about kind of maybe some content or film type stuff that inspired you, because whenever I watch your stuff, and obviously you use the name Parts Unblown, that's kind of like a play on Parts Unknown and everything, you know? But it seems like you do draw a lot of inspiration from Anthony Bourdain. So I'm just curious about that. Were there guys like that you were watching, maybe like a younger Craig, or just throughout your life? Do you have people like Anthony Bourdain or anyone out there that did inspire kind of the style of content and the stuff you want to make?
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember we got funded and we tried to do this sort of like a feature-length documentary, and we did it about Bali. And I was trying to do what Bourdain did for street food, for jiu-jitsu, and then sort of like what he did for chefs and stuff in the food industry. And I remember thinking like, I use this like analogy of like Scientology doesn't start with Planet Xenu. It starts with Tom Cruise and John Travolta and the interesting people involved, right? So I was like, jiu-jitsu is kind of a cult. And I was like, we're not going to grow the sport of jiu-jitsu by showing people jiu-jitsu. I think like we've got guys from Zuckerberg to like cleaners, like you've got all facets of society under one roof, and it's sort of this equal place where you're assessed basically on your skills alone. So I remember I sort of drew inspiration from Bourdain, and I wanted to sort of have this travel show that showed the diversity of people that do the sport of jiu-jitsu. Because I don't think for the average human being over 30, there is any type of sport or any type of healthy pursuit that you see such diversity in who's on the mats and how those people connect with each other. Like you could take two people from a jiu-jitsu gym, they could end up becoming friends, and you couldn't imagine those two people becoming friends under any other situation. So yeah, like the travel show was kind of trying to highlight gyms around the world and show what's special about a jiu-jitsu gym, and that is the diversity of people in those gyms, economically, socially, all those aspects, I think.
Nice. And then another thing I want to ask you just about general jiu-jitsu stuff, because I know you've been really busy with all the promoting stuff, trying to feature every athlete and all that. But before, kind of earlier on the B Team YouTube channel and your own content, all that, you do a lot of breakdowns for basically like every event that went down. And it was super clear how tuned in to the sport you were. It didn't really matter what event it was. You were super locked in on kind of everything, just a real student of the game, honestly. And so I wondered if you have like any deep cut type of athletes or any stuff you're watching now that like you like have a favorite guy or someone that you've been watching a lot, or someone that you think the people should kind of be more locked in on and watching do jiu-jitsu that's just a great representative of jiu-jitsu.
I think one guy in particular from B Team, and I honestly maybe have only trained with him once or twice, and I think one guy that's going to shock a lot of people would be Chris Wojcik. Mm-hmm. So every time you think the leg lock game has sort of met its end, you know what I mean? The innovation stops. Someone finds a way to innovate. So I remember like we had this sort of theory that like straight footlocks were dead. And then Soshinsky, the Polish serial killer, comes out and adds a layer to that game, and he just submits people. And I've heard about him in the gym. I mean, he even like tapped me in the gym, and I had to sort of like take notice. And really, I think Chris Wojcik hasn't had his moment yet. Obviously, he did well at ADCC, but I think him coming up with this Woj lock, and like I heard guys describe it to me as when you're in 50-50 and someone turns away from you to hide the heel, he sort of developed this footlock from there that's so powerful. And it's just like, in terms of student of the game, like I'll be honest, since taking on the MMA coaching aspect and really the promoter aspect, watching the pure jiu-jitsu and even my own personal training has sort of been held back by that, just in terms of my focus. But like when I hear about guys like that, and I hear about who he's submitting at the gym with the Woj lock and stuff, you can't help but feel that it's being stress tested in a training environment. And we've seen it effective in competition. But I really think a guy like that is going to be taken lightly and shock a few people. I mean, obviously we've got Lucas Cannard. Lucas Cannard, heel hook, and Victor Hugo was just shocking. And the way he did it with just your basic backstep. I just love seeing moves like that, because it's like backstep was huge. Like Gary Tonin, Gordon Ryan, butterfly sweep, backstep. But even Oliver Taza, like I think he has one of the best backstep heel hooks in the game. But then to see Lucas Cannard utilize that against Victor Hugo, I thought was genius, because Victor Hugo's got that big man flow, but Canard has a huge size disadvantage there, but a massive speed advantage. So I thought Canard utilizing the back step in that environment was so smart. It's like Victor Hugo plays flat back, and we hadn't seen a back step style heel hook on an elite level guy in a long time, and out of nowhere, Canard pulls that move. So I think guys like that are going to really make this event exciting. Because again, like ADCC absolute division is kind of, in my opinion, where you see the craziest stuff happen, where you see the stars sort of shine. And it gives the opportunity, ADCC as a whole, gives that opportunity for an unknown to face a really high level guy. And obviously, although we've stacked this tournament, there's still guys that'll be slept on. There's still guys that are going to cause massive upsets. And I think like capturing that magic can only happen in situations like this. Like obviously we see upsets on WNO and stuff, but for the most part, you guys are thinking, oh, what is an equally skilled, equally sort of level opponent, right? It's like, it's hard to, if you book a mismatch on WNO, people are going to be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, but if that mismatch naturally arises in like a tournament or something like that, I think it's just so compelling, the opportunity. Like, I mean, even Dante submitting Mika is like, Dante's as elite as it gets, but even that at ADCC was such a shocking moment.
Yeah, and definitely, I think some of that magic of the ADCC Absolute Division too is where it's like, damn, Dante went down in the weight division, but then you get to see this guy come back, and then he fought the dude who ended up winning his division, submitted him in the Absolute. So it does kind of just create an electric environment for some of this stuff. Do you have any teams? Because I know you have to work closely with all these guys, probably closer than you would even wish and all that. You know, that's the promoter side of things. Do you have any teams in CJI where you're kind of like, damn, bro, why didn't you get this guy? Why'd you kind of blow some of your picks or anything like that? Is there anybody that you kind of were a little bummed on that you didn't think utilized all the aspects of this, maybe?
Now would be a great time to call out Lachlan Giles.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we tried to get Lachlan for CGI 1. I remember being like, yo, Lachlan, like, you, like the heavyweight division's weak. You know what I mean? Like, sadly, Danaher's crew is such a strong heavyweight division. So, like, you got like the Luke Griffiths, the Merigali, obviously Gordon's a heavier guy, Big Dan. Those guys elected to do ADCC. So I remember being like, yo, Lachlan, bro, you got a legit chance to win $1 million here because his style is so difficult and challenging. I really wanted him to jump back in. I think we all would love for him to jump back in. I haven't seen him or trained with him in a long time, but I imagine like the way he lives his life and the way he trains all these guys, I imagine he's still very, very elite. So it's like, I wish he was in there. To be honest, Lachlan has gone with a guy called Bilal, and he says nothing but great things about how good Bilal is at leg locking and stuff. But I'm a bit sad that we didn't get kicked out on that Team Australia team because he did the Aussie trials, which was positioned in a way that he had to win this previous bracket and then face off against this final qualifying stage. So like, I know Kit went into that final stage a bit hindered in the cardio aspect because he'd already had to have so many matches. So like, I am sad that Kit's not in the event in some capacity because obviously from the promoter's point of view, and as you guys see with your own shows, like the man he puts effort into the promotion of the event. Again, I could just got to say, like, it is sad we don't have the Tackett's, the Ritolos going into MMA. UFC Fight Pass kind of, I can see why they did it, but they kind of tried to corner the American grapplers. So Team America is weaker than I feel it should be. And like my dream scenario would have been like both Tackett brothers, Roberto Jimenez, Corbet, and then someone else to anchor that team. So I think like UFC Fight Pass, whether or not it's officially written, it's definitely not going to reflect good on their athletes if they were to enter CGI. But like, those would be the guys that I feel like really a bit sad that they weren't involved in some capacity. Missed opportunity there. But I guess that's the nature of the business of promoting. Obviously, you guys and One Championship. Like, props to you guys for letting us use your athletes, especially after I attacked you for 6 months straight.
Oh, we remember.
Yeah. We still got the scars, you know. It stung, you know, but
we're still healing up.
No,
but it's come full circle now because now now I'm the target suffering as a promoter, you know. So it's like it's definitely come full circle.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I don't know. We get critiqued a lot. We have fair critiques, some that I think are like, I don't know if that's fair, but whatever. But like, I can say that like FloGrappling does care about the sport of jiu-jitsu, whether people think we do or not. You know, whatever they think we're in it for. We are guys just who do absolutely love jiu-jitsu, and you know, I also think like. The exclusive thing is like, I don't think jiu-jitsu's there yet. You know, it's like, it barely works in MMA to be honest. And like jiu-jitsu, it's such a small talent pool. And like, you're telling me a guy's going to get locked up. Even if we win exclusive, let's say we win exclusive with Mika. And it's like, how many who's number ones are we going to do? Like on a good year, 5, you know, it's like, we're going to see Mika compete 5 times in 1 year. Like that's just not good overall for anybody. It's not good for Mika, for us, anyone. So I can, you know, say we do love jiu-jitsu and we want to see these guys compete as much as possible. So of course, you know, if that means them being on CGI, all of that, like that's better for everybody. So, you know, no doubt.
Yeah,
there.
that's a testament to your guys' love of the sport, is to put everything aside that I've said for the greater good is like a testament to FloGrappling. You know, obviously I go crazy on the marketing and stuff and exaggerate.
I'm putting that on a plaque.
You know what I mean? I think that says it all. Obviously, you don't have the same energy from another promotion in the sport. But yeah, I think if you're true fans of the sport at this stage of the game, we don't want to rob the fans of potential matchups. You know, like these are, for most jiu-jitsu guys, they'd be scared to commit to a relationship with a female, but they're happy to commit to an exclusive contract, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, I don't know if we have much else for you, Craig. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you off here or anything? Do you want to break any crazy news or like, I don't know, do like 10 shots of tequila real quick to get the... I'm kidding.
I wish. I've had to be sober. I definitely wasn't sober in the lead up to CGI 1, as you guys could probably see on socials. But for this one, it's more of it feels more like work, you know, like obviously we'll find fun in it. But yeah, I would just say like, guys, if you want to support the event, Vegas is dead. Vegas is dead. If you want to support the event, but you can't make the show and stuff like that. If you want to keep us free on YouTube, if you want to support the athletes and stuff, the general admission tickets are pretty cheap. If you want to buy a ticket, use the discount code, you know, like if we can hit a certain capacity of seats sold and we can sort of showcase that we can actually turn a profit on this event, as you guys know how hard it is to turn a profit on a jiu-jitsu event, like it would just put us in a better position. Because I think like even with you guys, like if there's a premiere show that's free on YouTube that your athletes can highlight their skills in, it kind of does feed back to, like you said about narratives and stuff and following these athletes. So like if there's some form of free content on YouTube involving these athletes, and I'd love to keep it free. Part of the reason I'd love to keep it free on YouTube is just because there's a lot of people around the world that just can't, that love grappling, but they can't afford to get on a subscription platform. You know what I mean? So it's like the free aspect's really important to me, especially for the kids at the Guardian gym and stuff. Like obviously there'd be a TV at the gym, they could watch it CGI on. So like if you guys would like to maintain it for free, support it, buy a ticket. If you're having a watch party at the gym, buy a ticket. You don't need to obviously show up or you give it away to someone in Vegas. But yeah, any ticket support at this sort of stage of the game, real crucial for us and our longevity in the event.
Awesome. Well, yeah, everyone run, get a ticket. We always say this for Who's Number Ones. Buy a ticket, don't show up. We don't care. We just want to sell the tickets, you know? So sounds like maybe you got a similar thing going.
The money.
Yeah. Go buy some CJI tickets and then just post a picture of them online and tag Craig. I don't know. That'd be cool. Be like, I'm watching at home with my ticket. But we appreciate you calling in and everything, Craig. We'll let you get off here. I'm sure you got to, you know, go do some hard training for Gable. Get ready for that beast. So good luck out there, man.
I'll go to a room in this Airbnb and just cry about being a promoter, you know?
Yeah. Well, we might have to meet you there. So save us a spot. But yeah, thank you, Craig. We appreciate you calling in, man.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Yeah, good
I appreciate it, Craig. See you, brother.
See ya.
Big Craig.
Nice.
All right.
There we go.
Is.
Craig Jones.
Craig Jones. Who would have thought?
Yeah, here we are.
We are recording this 1 year since ADCC.
Yeah.
1 year since that big crazy.
What a year it was.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we went from freaking enemies number 1, CJI, Flo, and ADCC to now, I guess, partners. And yeah.
Craig owns Flo.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
It is obviously like, it's good to have Craig back and be able to just talk to Craig and, you know, like,
we always had a great relationship with Craig early on, and he did the show with us, Who's Next, and everything, and we always had a lot of fun making content with Craig, and so it was a bummer when we were on the blacklist there for a minute, but yeah,
And to be honest with you, that's why I wanted to ask him some of that stuff about being a student of the game and how he always was super clued in. Like, Craig was always like, Craig knew everything.
He loves jiu-jitsu.
Craig could tell you what happened at IBJJF Worlds in the gi. I know people might not think that that's like Craig's watching Worlds in the gi, but like, dude, he was. Like, he just watched all jiu-jitsu and was super clued in. He has a great historical knowledge of everything. So, you know, maybe that's gotten pushed aside, like he said, since going into MMA and going to the promoting and all of that. But, you know.
One time I remember going to B Team and they were just like watching the Pans finals.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is crazy that you guys are just watching the Pans finals here at B Team. You know? And like they were clued in on everything, you know, watching Diogo and stuff. So they love jiu-jitsu, you know, especially Craig. That's just something you can't knock. It's like that's a dude who's obsessed and loves the sport.
Yeah, but CJI is going to be a crazy time. I'm excited for it for sure. I guess at the tail end of the show here, is there anything else we should talk about? Anything else going on in the jiu-jitsu world?
PGF last week of their regular season is going on this Wednesday on YouTube. The team champions will be decided after this. Whoever has the most points. I think Dahlimer's in the lead by like 2. And then the top 8 will advance to the playoffs, but I think that's not happening the week after. It's like a couple more weeks or something, somebody was telling me.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we have the Mika film out. Do you want to talk about the Mika film for a second?
Yeah, dude. I'm stoked on this drop, finally. This is the year of Mika is officially live on FloGrappling.com and the FloGrappling YouTube channel. I saw someone comment and say, like, this better not be a 10-minute, a 20-minute thing. Oh, don't you worry. This is an hour and 12 minutes, and it dives into everything. You know, it dives into the whole run of the 2024 season for Mika Galvao, where he chased the Super Grand Slam. You know, we can pull up the NDI over here of Mika holding all of his medals and stuff, you know, from the Grand Slam, and then he went on to win ADCC also. But I think, like, there's going to be stuff in this film that people aren't expecting. There's stuff where Slack was obviously following Mika all year. There's a lot of stuff where me and Michael Sears at the time were going to Manaus and like filming with Mika, just kind of banking on eventually a film coming out about this. You know, Reed obviously huge part of getting all this done and all that. But there's stuff in here that like no one has ever seen before. There's one specific interview that we did with Mika in Manaus that I don't think Mika's ever. It's obviously about the 2022 stuff and Mika failing the drug test and all of that and his comeback and everything. And there's stuff in that interview that I don't think the jiu-jitsu world has ever seen before. It's like we never used that anywhere for any promotion, nothing like that. It's kind of exclusively lives in this film. I think that's one of the parts of the film for me that's like the most kind of like, damn, this is crazy. Like the jiu-jitsu world needs to see this, needs to see Mika directly address all of this stuff, talk about it, talk about what happened, you know, say where he's going from here and all of that. Ultimately, you know where he went from there. He won the Super Grand Slam, so it's not like we're, you know, trying to, what's going to happen, you know? But it's more about all of the stuff and all of the context that Mika gives throughout this, where we were following him closely that whole year. And there's a bunch of stuff that like no one's ever seen before, that's never seen the light of day until this film dropped. But
yeah,
Reed, I don't know if you had.
Yeah, no, I think all the questions that you have about Mika and about that situation and about what he accomplished in 2024, you know, hopefully all those questions get answered in this movie. You know, it's something that we've been working on here for the last 2 years pretty much. And it's something we've been sitting on here for a little bit. The movie's been done for just a little bit here, just trying to find the right time to drop it. We finally dropped it here today, August 18th, the year of Mika. Go to our YouTube and FloGrappling.com to check it out. But yeah, I think Craig mentioned it, and you know, we're really watching history unfold here, and I'm really glad that we were able to be there every step of the way and behind the scenes of what was happening along the way as well. And when we look back 10, 20 years from now, we're really going to look back at Mika Galvao as this kind of, you know, generational talent that we've never really seen in jiu-jitsu before. And he's our guy of this generation, of this moment. And so, yeah, just check out the documentary, please. We want to do more stories like this and stuff like that. So any support of watching the movie is greatly appreciated.
Do you have a favorite moment from the film? You got anything that stands out to you?
I mean, I think just seeing Mika in Manaus and seeing when he shows off, you know, the place where he first started training, or the what was it, the Melky kind of like
the The first school.
Yeah, the first school.
Project,
the projects, social project school that they created and had. And I think just hearing Mika talking about, you know, him growing up in jiu-jitsu and a lot of those early years of him fighting black belts as a blue belt and wearing the red gi, you know, really getting a sense of that, man, this guy's been living and breathing jiu-jitsu since he was, you know, 2 years old. You know, that's why he's here. It's not by accident. He's been living and breathing to become a jiu-jitsu champion since day one. Basically.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of wild moments. Definitely the Manaus stuff is super cool. Manaus does just have this lore in the jiu-jitsu world, but I think that is a great one. The red gi, we bust out. Mika still has his original first gi ever. He has this little tiny baby gi, and his mom pulls it out of a closet for us, and he shows us like Mika started training in a red gi. They called him Mika the Cruel at the time, was his original nickname, because whenever he was competing, he was so mean and just wanted to hurt other kids and stuff. And jiu-jitsu was kind of a way, I think, for him to express himself and kind of like work through a lot of that. Like, Mika, why do you want to kill all these kids, you know? But he had a cute little red gi that his mom would sew up for him, and they would kind of, you know, keep patching up and fixing so he could keep training. But it really is like, these guys are from very humble beginnings, like beginnings that like a lot of people who grew up in America, even if you were in like a somewhat, you know, rough upbringing or something like that, it's like, I don't know, man. I know there's comparable stuff in the US, but like it's really, really rough the way these dudes grow up. Like it's like pretty uncomparable, to be honest. So it's like you get to dive into a little bit of that about Mika and his father going from being like Bape in Brazil to then like moving off the streets and starting the social project and everything. So a lot of really cool stuff. You want to pull this up on the screen, Nikki? There's Mika showing off his red gi right there. That's the original. I think that's like Melky's like unit or something, the Farah Operation Especiales. Like Melky was out there just, you know,
we need to
hardcore.
get some
Look at Mika the Cruel right there, dude.
We need some red gi.
I got a
Where's
red gi.
Let's bring it back.
I got a red gi, but I wore it one time, and then the dude who owns our gym claimed that I stained the mats. I had to go scrub the mats. I was like, man, this ain't me.
You have like gray mats. How did they get stained?
I don't know. But
yeah, you know, he's a guy who loves animals. He plays video games. You really get to see kind of another side of Mika that you don't normally get to see on the competition mats. You know, with his mom, with his dad, with his friends, you really get to see that kind of behind the scenes look at Mika here. So that's something I'm really proud of that you get to see from Mika that you don't normally get to see.
Definitely. So go check it out. It's available now. You know, hopefully you guys like it. I know it was a lot of fun to make it and everything. But I got one more thing I want to pull up, you know, because we do talk about my brother a little bit on this one. We're usually using him to make some jokes, and my brother took a big step. He took a major step in his journey of never being able to submit me, you know. So this was a big weekend for him. We can pull this up on the screen. This is my brother right here. He got the dub, got gold at his comp, and got his blue belt.
Hey,
so,
congrats, Zach.
Yeah, let's go. Give it up for my brother. Like I said, you know, this is a big step. You know, at some point in time, if you keep training, you keep working hard enough, you'll get your blue belt. And for my brother, this is a good mark on his journey of just never being able to submit me. So, you know, that's cool for him. He threw me one time, Uchimata. It was a fluke. Never will happen again.
If it ever happens where Zach catches you, we got to get Zach to call in on the show and break it down, talk about it.
Zach takes his spot on the show if we
True.
Yeah,
Keep it chill type of thing.
Yeah, true. Okay, all right, fair. If he submits me, he can have my spot on the show, and I'll fly to Grove, Oklahoma, and watch his kids. I don't know.
Work his job for a week, and he'll work your job.
Yeah, I'll go. He'll switch and come be a FloGrappling content creator, and I'll go train guys to drive semi trucks. Yeah, but I joke about I'm the blue collar guy. My brother's actually a blue collar guy. I just steal all that stolen valor from him and just act like I'm blue collar. But yeah, definitely shout out my brother. I know he was stoked. He was super excited.
That's sick.
Trained for a couple years now, got his blue belt. So.
One of the best feelings in your jiu-jitsu journey is getting your blue belt for sure.
It's like you
better
finally
better than purple or brown.
Yeah. 10 times better than purple or brown.
It feels like you're finally like accepted into the club, you know, like you're just kind of like you finally got invited to the lunch table, you know, like I'm part of it.
Yeah.
I will
We're
say,
gonna remember my name now.
Yeah,
at the gym.
I will say it's kind of followed by like a few weeks later a feeling of like, damn, blue belts aren't actually in the club yet.
And now I just have to like be a blue belt for the next few years.
Now every white belt's killing me. All the purple belts just smoke me. So, but yeah, blue belt's a lot of fun. But yeah, shout out my brother, I guess. Anything else going on? Anything else we should talk about? Pretty much it. Yeah. Good stuff from Craig. You know, I know he's feeling the promotional side of things.
Yeah,
Different
definitely.
beast, you know. But Yeah, looking forward to it all. Appreciate everybody at home watching. Make sure and go check out the Mika film. But we got Masters Worlds coming up. We'll be next week. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that some more. Talk about who all's registered, and then CJI right after that. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.